The story of Alison Botha, a woman who defied death. Alison Botha's story is one of incredible resilience and survival against unimaginable brutality, capturing the world's attention and becoming a symbol of hope for countless others. Her tale begins on the evening of December 18, 1994, in Port Elizabeth, South Africa, a coastal city known for its beautiful beaches and peaceful neighborhoods. That night, Alison, a 27-year-old administrative clerk, returned home after an enjoyable evening with friends. It was a night like any other, filled with laughter, good food, and conversation. Two men, Franz Dutoit and Theuns Kruger, were watching Alison without her noticing, waiting to make their move. Born and raised in South Africa, Alison Botha had lived an ordinary, happy life. Known for her kindness and her positive attitude, she was surrounded by friends and loved ones who cherished her. After graduating from high school, Alison pursued a career in administrative work. She was ambitious, independent, and loved to spend time with her friends. She had no idea that her world was about to be turned upside down in the most horrific way imaginable. As Alison parked her car near her apartment, one of the men forced his way into the vehicle, holding a knife to her throat. The other man quickly joined, and they told her to move over into the passenger seat as they took control of the vehicle. Alison was terrified, but somehow she managed to stay calm and followed their instructions. As they drove her to a remote location outside of town, she could hear the men discussing their intentions. At first, they made it sound as though they just wanted her car and some money. But as the minutes passed, Alison could sense their true motives. These weren't petty criminals looking for a quick score. They were dangerous predators, and they had something much darker in mind. Alison knew that her life was in serious danger. On the journey, Alison remembered the survival tactics she had learned from books and TV shows. She tried to engage the men in conversation, hoping to humanize herself in their eyes. She thought that maybe if they saw her as a person and not just a victim, they might let her go. But the attackers were unmoved by her pleas. They had already decided her fate. Once they reached an isolated area, far from the city lights and any chance of help, the men dragged Alison out of the car. They raped her repeatedly, each taking turns while the other looked on. Alison remained determined to survive, so she fought to stay calm, knowing that if she gave in to panic, she might lose whatever small chance she had of making it out alive. Throughout the ordeal, Alison memorized every detail she could about her attackers, their voices, their mannerisms, the things they said. She knew that if she survived, she would need this information to help bring them to justice. But her nightmare was far from over. After the assault, the men discussed what to do next. One of them said, "She's seen our faces. We can't let her live." They decided to kill her, believing that no one would ever find her body in the remote area where they had taken her. The men slashed Alison's throat 17 times, cutting through her windpipe and jugular vein. Blood gushed from the wounds, but to the men's astonishment, Alison remained conscious. Fearing she might still survive, they stabbed her in the abdomen over 30 times, brutally disemboweling her. They believed they had succeeded in killing her, and left her lying in the dirt, her body broken and bleeding, while they fled the scene. The attackers were so confident in their actions that they didn't bother to hide her body. Against all odds, Alison remained conscious. Despite the life-threatening injuries, her nearly severed throat, and her intestines hanging outside her body, something inside her refused to give up. She felt a strange sense of calm wash over her. Alison later described feeling as though she had left her body, looking down at herself from above. It was in this moment, hovering between life and death, that Alison made a decision. She would not die here, not like this. Alison knew she had to move. She somehow mustered the strength to pull her exposed intestines back inside her abdomen with her hands. With her other hand, she held her throat together to prevent further blood loss. Then, in a superhuman effort, she dragged herself through the dirt and broken glass, inch by inch, toward a nearby road. The journey felt like an eternity. Every breath was agonizing, and the pain was unimaginable, but Alison's will to live was stronger. Finally, she reached the road, her vision starting to blur. The sight of headlights in the distance gave her a glimmer of hope. Someone was coming. A young veterinary student driving along the dark road spotted Alison's motionless body on the roadside. His medical training kicked in, and he immediately stopped to help. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. This woman, barely alive, had somehow survived injuries that should have been fatal. Without hesitation, he called for an ambulance. The paramedics who arrived at the scene were shocked that Alison was still alive. They rushed her to the hospital, where a team of surgeons worked tirelessly to repair the damage. Her windpipe had been severed, making it nearly impossible for her to speak, but she was conscious enough to write down details of the attack for the police. The doctors were able to reconstruct her throat and repair the extensive damage to her abdomen, saving her life. While Alison recovered, police launched a full-scale investigation. Thanks to Alison's remarkable memory and the descriptions she provided, the authorities quickly identified the two attackers. Franz Dutoit and Theuns Kruger were arrested just days after the attack. In a rare move, they both confessed to the crime, detailing the brutal attack with no remorse. The men were charged with multiple counts, including rape, attempted murder, and kidnapping. Both were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, ensuring that they would never be able to harm another person again. Alison's physical recovery was nothing short of miraculous, but the emotional and psychological toll of the attack was immense. Yet, rather than retreat from the world, she chose to confront her trauma head-on. With incredible courage, Alison began sharing her story publicly, hoping to inspire others who had faced violence and trauma. Her message was one of resilience, hope, and survival. Alison became a sought-after motivational speaker, traveling the world to share her experiences and inspire people to find their own inner strength. Her bravery and determination in the face of overwhelming odds became a beacon of hope for many. In 1999, she published her memoir, I Have Life, detailing the harrowing experience and her road to recovery. The book became a bestseller and has been translated into several languages. It continues to inspire survivors of violence and those looking for hope in difficult times. Alison Botha's story is a powerful testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome even the darkest moments. Her ability to survive such a horrifying attack and go on to thrive, helping others along the way, is nothing short of extraordinary. She reminds us that no matter how dire a situation may seem, there is always hope, and there is always a way to fight back. Alison's story has been told in documentaries and interviews around the world, leaving an unforgettable mark on everyone who hears it. Today, she continues to advocate for victims of violence and uses her platform to promote healing and empowerment. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more scary kidnapping stories.